Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to pick up with Senator Warner's note that a lot of people claim that Fannie and Freddie's affordable housing goals caused the 2008 crisis, but there is no evidence to back that up. In fact, the data studied by the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission and the Federal Reserve show that the affordable housing goals had no impact on either the subprime loans, the number of the subprime loans, or on the price of those loans. And in fact, that the data show that the underlying cause of the crisis was subprime lending in the private label market, not with Fannie and Freddie. But that is not to say that the affordable housing goals had no impact. They did have a powerful impact. They helped millions of families purchase homes. According to data from Fannie and Freddie, from 2002 to 2007, between 6 million and 12 million families each year benefited from the affordable housing goals. That's millions of credit-worthy, lower-income or rural families that are building up savings even today, thanks to those goals. So before we all conclude that we're throwing out the affordable housing goals on the basis of some myth, I think we need to look carefully at what we'd be giving up. And I'd like to just get a single statement on the record here if I can. Mr. Shelton, if the affordable housing goals are eliminated, what do you estimate would be the impact on home ownership rates in minority neighborhoods?
Well, it would be devastating. So quite frankly, we've depended on that kind of support for years and years to make sure that we have access. You've seen what happened with the housing crisis. Over 52% of African Americans lost their homes. They lost all their wealth and everything else. It was so important to looking at the future and everything that we do with our homes, from educating our children to planning for our retirement.
Thank you. And Dr. Crowley, can I ask you, would eliminating affordable housing goals, could you describe the impact on rural communities?
Oh, well, I think that would be, it would be horrible because rural communities are where lenders are not likely to go unless there is some encouragement, incentive requirement that they go there. I think that this committee would really needs to look at making sure that whatever is passed has something that holds the system accountable for getting lending into every single geography, and that means we're talking about inner cities, but we're also talking about the most remote parts of the country. And that's what your job is to figure out how to make sure that the system is fair and accessible to everybody.
So I want to just see if we can then wrap this into the next piece of it. And I want to say I commend Senators Warner and Corker for the work they've put into S-1217 and how you've moved this debate forward. But I'm concerned about S-1217's elimination of the affordable housing goals. And we've all been talking about the strip of 5 to 10 basis points on the government-backed securities for the Housing Trust Fund. And I think the estimate is it would be about produce about $2.5 to about $5 billion annually is the estimate. But the question I want to ask, Dr. Crowley, in your views, will $5 billion a year substitute for the benefits that the affordable housing goals provide for lower income and rural communities?
No way. No way. Let me just say that the affordable housing goals, which are very important, they did not reach poor people. And so the Housing Trust Fund is the reason that we established that is so that we did in fact have a way to not only to come up with a dedicated revenue source to get to rental housing for extremely poor people. And we'd like a good portion of that to have to $5 million to go to the Housing Trust Fund, which is not going to do the kinds of things that we need to do to create access to home ownership for middle-income families.
Good. So the point I just think I wanted to make sure that we're all clear on, one is not a substitute for the other.
No.
And we have got to look at both of these independently. I see that I'm running low on time, and the chairman has been so gracious to let me go over so many times. I will quit now, but I do have a question for the record about duty to serve and how we make sure that that reaches rural communities and low-income communities. So I'll add that as a question.